Welcome to the Encounters South African Documentary International Film Festival. We're really honored to have with us two people who've been part of making I, Mary, ALIKI SARAGAS-GEORGIou and Mary NDLOVU. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks, MAGANTHRIE. Thank you to Encounters.
My name is MAGANTHRIE PILLAY. I think I forgot to say that. Watching this film was actually very emotional because there's so many things, like you can hear about albinism, but actually looking at someone's story and seeing their journey, you know, from being very young to having to negotiate different stages of their lives. It was very emotional. Tell me, how did you all find each other? Let's start there to tell the story.
Wanting to do a film on gender-based violence for a while, and especially an intersectional film. And Regina, Mary, and I met for another film that we were making, but that didn't end up happening. And then Regina Mary's story, you know, sat on my heart for a very long time. It's a very, as you know, it's a very, very powerful story and a very important story that needed to be told. And then when the opportunity came, because the film was first commissioned as a two-part documentary series for CGTN before we made it into I'm Up, on the themes of gender-based violence, and I felt that yeah, Regina Mary's story would be perfect for this, and then we reconnected there and created this film together.
Wow. Obviously, what was it like when you filming your life, you know, being a central character in the story? What was that like for you?
Honestly, it was like freedom, because for years I have kept this information, and as much as I presented out my bold character, inside there was those other feelings I had, or those other, they don't know I couldn't read, they don't know I feel like this about myself. So I felt like I was living two lives, one where I'm strong but I've never really told the truth. So it was like time for me to breathe, just getting these chains off me. So honestly, it was great, because now there's nothing left in me to hold back and not to feel like I'm living three lives when I could just live one. So it was freedom to say. Yes.
I think that the reality of your struggle with reading was probably, you know, I mean, so much of it was emotional, but and you just think about a whole range of people who may have this struggle, you know, even being able to read and just not being able to communicate it, and how other people, like, instead of supporting them, you know, hurt them. I don't understand it. But that scene where you're, you know, showing us how you actually have to use the device and how you work with it was very powerful, actually, but also engaging with technology and how technology actually has given you a kind of freedom. So that was really exciting to see. And I hope that it will inspire other people who have similar challenges to see what the opportunities are there as well. What were your...
Yes, and I just hope they can talk about it.
Definitely. I think just our relationship with technology, I think, is a big topic. And obviously it can be used for and against, and, you know, with social media and all of that. But I love how, as you begin to, you know, understand your own journey, looking for, you know, realizing that you're not going to find the stories, you have to go out and create it. I think that's so powerful as well. What inspired you to go out and Mary and seek other people, and you've traveled, tell us a little bit about that journey and how you were like, okay, I'm just going to go find people and talk to them. What inspired you, and how did that whole journey begin?
As a child, after going through so much discrimination, after being the only girl with albinism at home, at school, I tried to look for reference, role models, and somebody that I could look at to help me become what I wanted to be, because I always wanted to be an actress, but I had no reference, there was no reference basically. So I Googled albinism on the internet, and all I found was murder, myths, this are dying, Africa this. Mostly I found people whose hands were cut off. That's when I found Miriam. So basically, even the internet itself told me there was nothing that was going to tell me I was able to be part of this beautiful existence called Earth. So I told myself, if there isn't any reference, if there isn't any positive reference, I had to make sure that something had to be done. I love TV. I mean, I'm short-sighted. I literally sit right in front of it, and I looked, I watched, I seeked, and there was nothing. So all I ever wanted, or all I ever knew, was that there isn't anything that represents positivity, empowerment, and a great future. So my mission was to create a platform that anyone else that comes after me will have to Google, find, and actually make a decision for themselves if they want to stay on the bottom or actually make their way to the top. So it was all about creating a positive reference out there.
How long did it take you to develop the story, Aliki? And I know the shooting part is always the smallest part of the whole process. Obviously, the great thing was you had already established a relationship with Regina Mary, but from the point that you all decided, hey, let's actually do the film with you. How long did it take before you actually started shooting that story?
It was quite a different experience than my last film, which took quite a few years to film. The story with I, Mary was actually quite a quick process. It all happened within a year. So we initially started chatting, I think in December 2019, January, around the film's themes and what Regina Mary would like to see in the film, what she's doing at the time, and possibly then, come up with a treatment and a narrative of what we could explore together, because it was a very collaborative process right from the beginning. And then we actually shot principal photography or cinematography over 5 days, the week before lockdown. So it was very intense, and I think you see some of that anxiety in the film of COVID, because it definitely was. It was at that time for the 2-part documentary series that we had with the broadcaster with CGTN. And then we were fortunate enough to be able to edit during a hard lockdown. And once the film had broadcast on CGTN, as the film team, we really thought about how the film is a much bigger story, and we couldn't explore everything that we wanted to within the film. We couldn't really get into the depths of identity and the questions that we had, and the questioning. And also the visual narrative or the visual treatments of the film, we thought could be unraveled a little bit more, maybe a bit of a more poetic treatment. And especially with Regina Mary, what we had chatted about was that we want to reach more audiences, and this is an impact film, so we want to use with her activism, that she's there on top of the activism that she's already doing. So that's then when we decided we managed to get some more funding and cut a feature-length version of the film, which was completed by the end of by December last year. So all in all, a year, which was quite different, but really amazing that we were able to do it within also lockdown.
I think for most people, because of YouTube, a lot of people, and people see a lot of finished product, they don't understand actually how long a process is. And even a year is relatively long, even though, you know, most feature-length documentaries can take anywhere from 2 to 5 years or more. So for most people hearing you saying, oh, it was short,
Yeah.
they'll be like, what? What?
Yeah.
But no,
And
definitely,
yeah.
that's very interesting. I think this is also interesting because of the activism and the collaboration. Talk a little bit about that process, even in terms of the filming. Did you, you know, obviously you're the director, but you are collaborating. So what was the tension like in terms of those kind of choices? Because as much as I love collaborating myself, when I'm directing, I am the director. And I have a particular idea. So what was that like for each of you, that process of making?
I think for me, we had the same intention. So I think for me at least, it was that we had the same intention as we started out. I wanted to tell an intersectional story on gender-based violence, and Regina Mary wanted to use, well, you mean you'll also explain yourself, but from what I understood at the time was that she wanted the film to be, so for me it was just really basing that relationship on trust and honesty. We wanted to film, see if Regina Mary agreed, didn't agree, show her various cuts of the film before it, you know, went anywhere else. So for me, that was how we tried to allow it to be as collaborative as possible, so that it did authentically represent her. And you wanna, I don't know if you want to answer that as well.
Well, for me, it was about one, ALIKI was honest. You know, she literally told me what the documentary was about. And because she watched My Voice Albinism, The New Era, she also let me know that this could be a platform for the entire world to get to know about the talk show, because basically it is an online talk show, but nobody knows about it. And it's an empowerment talk show with different types of conversations that people don't know are happening. And on top of everything, it was a chance for me to reach not just Africa, but the whole world, to get to a point where we actually come together and realize that we exist. We exist not just in the fact of flesh, but we have to exist in the fact of education, reality, hospitals, every single thing. There isn't books on albinism, cartoons, movies, anything that's related to my existence is only on one day or one particular awareness day. So what made me do this was, one, compassion. She was honest. It wasn't just a documentary because she needed to do a documentary, but it was a documentary on gender-based violence, women with albinism, and also albinism being given a platform to actually say, albinism is a description of what the doctor says I am, but I am just a human being. My name is Regina Mary. I am an actress and I just want to live my life. But before that can happen, I have to let you see what I am capable of, and not just me, but everybody else that breathes like me.
Very powerful. You know, we've talked about gender-based violence, and I think your vulnerability and your sharing of your experiences, I think would be really eye-opening. How difficult was it to share your experiences on screen?
It was, in the beginning, it was hard because I didn't know whether I was helping or I was putting myself up for shame or embarrassment, because so much happened to me. And in most cases, there's things I couldn't talk about. There's things I couldn't tell. I was scared. I was thinking, will I be blamed? Because when you grow up and you get molested, you think that is normal. You know, you get to a point where you start practicing it. So in the beginning, I was really, really scared. I was ashamed because I felt like I wasn't a woman or I wasn't valued enough. So along the journey, like I said, she always made sure she asked me, are you okay with this? Do you want to do this? So it was me going back to realizing I could sit with this and bury myself with these voices, or this could stop with me. Because regardless of albinism, what I went through, a lot of children are going through it regardless of their skin color or gender. And it happened at the time when I was very young. So I wasn't aware it was wrong. Only when I became a woman, I realized, no, that incident was molestation, that incident was rape. But then it was like, if you tell somebody, you'll be the laughing stock. So in the beginning, it was really hard. But after I crossed that line, I realized it's either I take it out and I'm the last to ever deal with this, or I will grow up being a woman that will bury herself with this pain and pretend to be okay at the end of the day. So right now, it's something I usually say it twice because that's how embarrassing it was. But I was raped 15 times. Yes, ALIKI is surprised because I didn't tell her that it was just too hard. But now it's like, you know what? It ends here. It doesn't matter what happened. It matters how this is ending, you know? So it feels nice to let it go for a change.
And I think just the awareness for people that someone like in your position, like how you're viewed, you know, trying to unravel all the mythologies, as you say, all the, like, your bad luck, your good luck. I'm sure it's well, it's heartbreaking to watch, and to engage it, and to know that this is how people think. And it was very emotional. Also because, like, how do you, and I think the work that this film can, the impact that it can have is actually bringing that attention to actually what happens, and that it's not okay. Whatever ideas there may be in the community, if it hurts someone, it's not okay. So I think it was really brave of you as a team, you know, to dig deeper and to create that platform for that conversation. Actually, gender-based violence is such, I mean, we say it all the time. We say the word, but like how it translates for women, for people with albinism, is it's their lives, you know. And hopefully this is also going to bring attention, you know, to people in different areas of society, that can change policy, that can look at, you know, criminalizing, that can look at different measures, even like, how do you, like, going to the police station, like how are you received at the police station? You know, everybody needs to be educated. And so I think this is a fantastic way to at least open people's eyes. The journey of talking to different people and meeting different people, how has that changed your life, Regina Mary, in terms of your YouTube channel?
It's been such an honor and a privilege because, one, I've gotten to learn things about myself that I didn't know. Like, firstly, I thought the reason I can't read or write or I'm hated was because of my albinism. But that wasn't the reason. I never got the chance to be taught how to read. My autism it's not one shoe fits all. I get to learn from other people. Others have different skin tones. We are not all the same. Our eyesight is different. And also the courage that is the foundation is very, very important. In most cases, when there's a positive foundation at home, most people with albinism that have got a very positive family turn out to actually have good lives, and they don't really go through so much struggle. But when the foundation has been so broken, everything seems to be just a clattery path. So honestly, it's made me stronger to realize that, one, it's not just me. Two, there's hope. Three, the whole point of the reason I started this was so we can all be empowered and take care of ourselves. because one, I do need eyeglasses, which I have to cater for myself. I need sunscreen. I cannot leave the house without sunscreen. I need to be financially stable to know if I get skin cancer, I must be able to take care of myself. I want to get married. I want to live my own life where I do not have to depend on somebody else. So being able to interview other people that are doing things is the whole purpose why I started. Because now, not just me learning that I can be what I want to be, but other people out there will understand that if you can see the blackboard, if you are skin protected, there is nothing in the way between you and your future. So I have learned that the more positive information there is, the more nobody has to hold anyone's hand. All we can do is look. There is Regina Mary, there is Tando Hopper, there is this other person. So for me, it's an honor, because all I ever wanted was to see positive reference and know that I'm not just being hacked or raped or being non-existing, but there is more, and we are all over the world, and we don't produce ourselves. We come out of every human being. So it's not like Regina Mary will have a child with albinism. ALIKI here will probably have a firstborn with albinism, and that's how life is. We all are capable of giving birth to albinism. So it's been an honor, because it's been a dream come true.
Thank you for that. And how has this film impacted you, ALIKI? The making of this film, how has it impacted you?
Well, I was just asked this question in another Q&A, and I honestly, I can just say that, like, I am completely inspired by Regina Mary, and it's been a real privilege to be able to go on this journey with her and to be allowed into the journey. It's not something that I take lightly. It's a huge responsibility, and I think if she is so brave, and that bravery is something that is just, you know, truly inspiring, but also she's vulnerable, and there's power in vulnerability. And she's really taught me a lot about not only, you know, all the themes in the film, but a lot about myself and strength, and what it means to, you know, to live in this liminal space of surviving after so much trauma. So she's definitely changed my life. And yeah, it's been amazing to be able to have spent so much time with her in the making of the film. Wonderful.
We have a question from Mama Sheen Mputseng Kasonkola. She says, thank you for this brave film. Where to next? How can the film be a catalyst for the conversations that need to be had? Any plans for this?
Yeah, so there is actually, we have an impact strategy with the film that we are now looking for funding to actually implement. Impact campaigns are, again, another whole thing once you finish the film. So, but the plan is, yes, very much based on 2 levels of impact. The one is creating awareness, and this is through really grassroots community screenings, both at a grassroots level with NGOs, NPOs, but then also in rural communities, engaging in dialogue there. And then that's the kind of the bottom-up approach. The top-down approach would be to, and you mentioned it, MAGANTHRIE as well, is to really target police stations, looking at the way survivors are treated. We also want to target schools and educational systems, and really target young men within there. So that's also that. We also want to target more media houses and to look at representation, you know, which is one of Regina Mary's goals, representation of people with albinism. So that's that. And then the second part of the impact campaign is building communities, because as an activist and as someone who, you know, spends her life doing this work, it's very difficult to be sustainable. So what we're hoping to do is to do a fundraising campaign as well for Regina Mary, so that she can continue with My Voice Albinism, the New Era, and take it cross-continental, which is really was one of her goals. So that's the second part of the campaign that we hope to do. We're still very early stages, and we hope that we can, raise that funding to do the impact campaign, because we really do believe it will be very powerful. But at the same time, like even with my previous film, what's so amazing about community screenings is that anyone can do them. We don't need funding to do that. We don't need to do a community. We don't have to do a screening tour. Anybody can contact us, and if they want to screen the film, we can give them a toolkit and a guide to be able to do that. And that's really what's so powerful, because those kind of screenings kind of spread like wildfire. So if anyone is interested in showing the film in their spaces, in their communities, in their organizations, in their companies, or even at home, let us know. And we definitely build that into the impact campaign.
I think that sounds like a fantastic plan. I have another question. I'm curious, in the activism work Regina Mary has done, are there challenges that are faced by those living with albinism unique to Black people? Because albinism exists in every group, but yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm not sure I hear you.
So the question is, because albinism is a condition that can affect multiple groups. It's not specific to people of African descent. You can be Caucasian and have albinism. So the question is, are the challenges that are faced by those living with albinism unique to Black people?
Are the challenges faced, just the last part, just rephrase the last part, are the challenges?
So the question is really like, even though there's many different groups that can have albinism and do, but if you are African,
yes,
are your challenges greater?
Yes. Oh, now I hear the question. Yes. In Africa, it's a totally different story. It's bloodshed, it's murder, it's hacking, it's rape, it's just spitting, it's not touching. Basically, as we speak now, just a 1-month baby's hand was cut off in Zambia. Because of my activism, I'm in connection with Zambia, South Africa, different countries are reaching out. So in Africa, it's really, really, really bad, because I'm not seen as a human being. I'm seen as a ritual, like a magic charm. I'm basically Umuti. It's called Umuti, African tradition. And as much as it's something that we can't really think it's real, it's very real. I've also experienced that recently. It was just after the documentary, where one of my partners was actually using that on me, assuming being with me would actually make him rich, which obviously was very hurting to find out, because he knows exactly how powerful my activism is. In Africa, it's bad. It's very bad, to a point where that's why if we are allowed the normal accessibility in schools, where we can educate ourselves, we can see the blackboard, we can have sunscreen, we can personally avoid these things by empowering ourselves. Because mostly it's either we are put in a house, locked up for safety, or everybody in the community, there's one of me and other people and nobody knows about it. So it's really, really bad. It's a death sentence, especially the sun. Me and the sun, it's just hell. As we speak, I have to wear sunscreen every second of the day. I may have a pimple on my face and I might think it's just a pimple, but it could be skin cancer. And once that happens, I cannot identify it until it's very late. So in Africa, it's really, really bad, because it's all about, you are not human. If I see you, I see money, I see magic, I see a curse, which is confusing, because I'm a curse, I'm a blessing. I can cure HIV and AIDS. That's the most thing. So it's really, really bad in Africa, but it obviously has to end with Regina Mary.
Wonderful. And making this film, I'm sure, is the beginning of changing things around. Certainly it's changing things around for you on a personal level, but all the people who encounter it and see it will definitely be impacted. And so that's the hope. As difficult and as horrible as it is, you are shining a light, the two of you, you're shining a light on the situation. You're using everything you have to bring this issue to the fore so that we can think about it and hopefully become allies. If more people also become allies, we'd have more success. So yeah, we focus on the victim, but we need to also focus more broadly on communities to change their own perspectives. And so I think this is a very powerful film to begin that journey. So yeah, well done to both of you for the courage in telling, all these parts of the story, which I think, well, definitely it impacted me. And I've known of, I'm aware of the issues, but hearing your unique experiences and your challenges really has had a profound impact on me. So thank you for that. And I wish you both all the best in the journey forward and in impact. I'll speak to you on the other side. I actually have some ideas I'd like to share
Awesome.
with you. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.